What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in to the Uncommon Mindset podcast. Today, I'm joined by such an incredible person. He's one of the best grapplers in the world. He's a purple belt under Guy Mendes, and he's the youngest male to ever win ADCC Trials and has booked himself a spot in ADCC 2022 of September. He's the one and only Cole Abate. What an honor it is to be joined by you today, Cole.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity for joining the show. Appreciate it.
No worries. So I think a great place to take this would be to take it all the way back. Talk to me about your upbringing. What did that look like? And when did you actually get into jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, so I was originally born in Texas. I was born in Beaumont, Texas. And then early on, I think when I was like 4 or 5 years old, we moved to San Antonio. So most of my childhood was in Texas, and that's where I started training jiu-jitsu, was in San Antonio, Texas, with Professor Rodrigo Pinheiro. And I think my first class was whenever I was 5 years old. So that kind of started out whenever I used to go to the gym a lot with my dad. So my dad used to always lift weights. He would always be at the gym. We'd be there a lot, and he would always take me with me, or he would always take me with him. And then I remember we would always be there. He'd always be lifting weights. And then one day, this guy came up to him and invited him to come train. My dad was always pretty big. He lifted a lot of weights. So the guy was like, "Oh, you should come try and train jiu-jitsu at our academy." And then at first my dad was kind of hesitant. He didn't really know if it was for him or not. But like I said, I was always there with him. So then the guy was like, "Oh, well, if you guys come, they've got a really good kids program, and you should bring your kid to come try it out." So after a few times of my dad seeing the guy over and over, and the guy constantly being like, "Oh, did you guys go yet? Did you guys go yet?" He finally made the decision to take me. And a lot of people kind of get it mixed up. It was actually me that started jiu-jitsu first before my dad. My dad's a black belt today. He trains every day. We train every day at the academy. And but I started a year before him. So it wasn't until a year and a half afterwards that he actually started training and putting on the gi. But probably one of my first memories of training jiu-jitsu was I remember going to the gym, and I had already done sports and stuff. I played in team sports when I was young. I was on the baseball team, the basketball team. So I was very experienced in that aspect. And obviously all those sports are team sports. So kind of have to rely a little bit on your teammates. Sometimes if you're the best on the team and you've got kids that don't really care if you win or lose, that could be the game changer. And I remember being so young and just not understanding why some of the kids on the team didn't want to win. They didn't show that they wanted it as much as I did. And for me, that was kind of frustrating. And I think whenever I started doing jiu-jitsu, there was like I said, one of my first memories was in that first class, we played this sumo game. So you would have they'd have the square, and then you and another person in the middle would have to just push each other out until you were able to push the other one out of the ring. So I remember them just making the square with the belts and me just getting low and driving forward. I was still a white belt, and it was very early on. And I remember the professor kept moving kids that were better than me, kids that were higher belts in. And I just kept getting low and driving. And I just remember pushing the kids out one by one and just being like, man, I don't have to worry about those kids that were messing me up before, that didn't really care if we won or lost. So I don't know if it clicked right then or there, but I think in my head, I knew that if it's just me out there, the harder I work will dictate the results. So I think that kind of just stuck with me as I grew up. And that was just a lesson learned that however much you put in is what you're going to get out. And I think that applies to really just anything in life. And I think that's kind of what drove me towards jiu-jitsu and made me like it so much. And then, so to continue from there, I kept training at that gym for a very long time until I was, I think, 14 years old. And then we had an opportunity to move out to California. And that's when I started training with my professors, the Mendes brothers. And then I've been training at Art of Jiu-Jitsu ever since. So.
Oh, yeah, that's incredible. I was watching a video of you earlier when you were 13, I believe. And you said this thing, and I was just like, how is this 13-year-old saying this? You said, find something you love and pursue it. I was just like, when I was 13, I can't remember what I was doing. Was it then when you knew that you wanted to pursue jiu-jitsu, or was it before that you wanted to pursue jiu-jitsu?
I think it was before. Like I said, like I found my passion very, very young. Like I was my first class was when I was 5 years old, and I think after like a few years, I kind of decided, okay, like this is what I want to do, and like I already done competitions and stuff, but like I think I was being more attracted towards jujitsu. I was leaning more towards jujitsu than going on the baseball team or playing basketball. I remember even early on, I was still training jujitsu, but then there would be days where I would miss because I had to go to baseball practice, and then like I would have a game on the weekend. And I was always competitive. Like I said, I was good in those other sports, but I just didn't have the same passion that I did as I did for jujitsu. And I think that kind of shows you how, as parents, like I have very supportive parents. They support me with everything I do. So the fact that they were able to expose me to so many different sports growing up, like you kind of lean towards what you like most. And then once your parents kind of see that, like they should put everything they can, all of their efforts should go into that, and to try and give you like the best chances at being the best in whatever that is. So that kind of goes along with finding your passion whenever you're young, and then put everything you've got into that one thing. Like it doesn't have to be jujitsu. For me, it was jujitsu just because that's what I liked most, and I just felt a passion for it. But for some people, it's going to be other stuff, and that same mindset can carry on through other things. So yeah, I think that saying that I had then, like I already knew that I wanted to do jujitsu, and I think it was probably when I was like 8 or 9 when I stopped doing those other sports, and was like, I just want to solely focus on jujitsu. And then that's whenever, like, I was already working harder in jujitsu because I knew like I liked that better. But I think that was when it was like, okay, I know I can like actually make a profession out of this one day. I started seeing my professors and stuff compete at the biggest tournaments, or even like teach classes all day long. And I knew, okay, this is the only thing they're doing. And they only teach and compete jiu-jitsu. So like, why can't I do the same thing? And so my goal ever since then was making jiu-jitsu like my life goal, and how I want to live the rest of my life. So that's the path that I'm on now.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I know how supportive your parents are, especially your dad, Jeremy. And yeah, in that same video that I was watching, it's like a video when you were 13, and he said if you wanted to be an artist, he would have tried to buy you the best paintbrushes and things like that, which is amazing to see and hear as well. I know that you're still young, Cole. Do you ever get kids, or like did you ever have kids that would like laugh at you and say like, why are you doing jiu-jitsu? Or did you ever feel like you were left out or anything like that at all?
No, not at all. I think very young, whenever I dedicated everything towards jiu-jitsu, and jiu-jitsu was the only thing I was doing, I already created a lot of friendships and stuff at the gym. And I think that because I started working towards just jiu-jitsu, and then like I obviously was going to school and everything, I was around a lot of adults at the gym as well. So like a lot of my best friends were adults when I was like 8 or 9 years old. So like because I was around them so much, I think I was a little bit more mature for my age. Just like being around them and just being more influenced by those people. And I think whenever I would go to school, like I knew that like they were just kids, like just having fun and like just like messing around. Like it's what normal kids do. But because I had found something that like jiu-jitsu requires a lot of discipline, it requires a lot of focus. You're around people that are also focused. Everybody's working towards a similar goal. I think being around that just made me more mature. And if there were kids that made fun of me, like I kind of just brushed it off, because I was like, okay, like these kids have no idea what they're talking about. These are normal 8 and 9 year olds. And like, because I'm surrounded by older people that are more experienced, more mature, I was kind of growing into that same spot. So I knew that jiu-jitsu was what I wanted to do, and like school and stuff has always been like a part of it as well, and like staying focused in school, making good grades and stuff. But like I knew my future was with jiu-jitsu. So like if kids were to make fun of me, which didn't really happen a lot, because I think a lot of kids recognized that I was like more mature, and they didn't really like mess with me, and they like knew, okay, like he knows what he's doing. then I don't think it really affected me as much. But like I said, I knew it was what I wanted to do very young, and I think that's what kind of kept me away from making all those mistakes and like hanging around with the wrong kids in school. Because for a lot of people, that can be what makes a difference. Is like sometimes you can be very talented, you can have that natural talent in whatever it is that you do, but then you can get caught up with the wrong people that you're hanging around, and like that can like really influence your decisions. And who knows, like that could be like a huge mistake that'll cost you for the rest of your life, when you could have stayed focused and been around the right people with similar goals and could have took you on a better path for success. So I think that's kind of what kept me on track the whole way through.
Yeah, for sure. There's a saying, it's like, show me your friends and I'll tell you your future, right? So yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. And so what does a day in your life look like now then, Cole?
So I'm 17 years old, so like I'm still in school and stuff as well. And obviously now, like you guys already know that this is what I want to do. I'm a full-time competitor, but like I'm still young, so I still go to school and stuff. So I wake up in the morning. My training starts very early. I start at 6 a.m. So I do the 6 a.m. class at Art of Jiu-Jitsu. Then after that, it's followed by our competition training, which is where all the competitors are. We do our harder rounds. That's like the toughest training of the day. And then after that competition class from 7 to 8, we start our fundamentals class, which is considered the fundamentals, but it's more of an advanced class. It's the class that Professor Guilherme leads. And it's where we kind of talk about the mistakes that were made in the competition training, the class before that. And we talk about like just the concepts that we want to work for the week. So there's like a set of concepts that we work throughout the week, and that's like more technique, and then it's followed by sparring in the end. And then after that, we finish at 9 a.m. That's like the morning training. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do strength and conditioning at Proactive. It's a gym we have here that's really good. A few of the athletes from our jiu-jitsu train there with me, so we kind of have like this group class that we do. And we have our own personal trainer. He's very good with what he does. He knows if we're sore from class, from our competition training one day, he'll go lighter at the gym. Or if we're like full of energy and ready to go, he'll push us harder in the training. So it's a really cool relationship that we kind of have. And he knows how our training is. He's always asking how we're feeling and stuff. So it's very jiu-jitsu oriented. And it's really helped in the past like 2 years that I've been working there. And then so that's at 11 a.m. to 12. And then after that, I'm doing school from 12 to about 2 o'clock. And that's just like anytime I'm not training during the day is whenever I do my school. So I can pull my laptop out and get some Wi-Fi and then just do my assignments or whatever. Like that's perfect. There's some times where I'll just stay at home and then just do my schoolwork in between that 9 a.m. the 8 a.m. class, in between my workout, or after that workout before I go teach at the gym. So I'll do my schoolwork anytime I have during the day if I'm not eating or training. And then at 2 p.m. it's kind of just like an open mat deal. Only some people from the competitors go there, and we can either drill, do specific training. If we want to spar, we'll spar, and then just get like a partner and do whatever you want. So a lot of the training at the gym kind of revolves around how much do you want it, and it's like the people that want more and want to train more and want to train harder, they'll train during those open mat times, and they'll find times like to train during the day. So I'll do whatever training I'm going to do at 2 p.m. to 3 right before I start teaching. And that's whenever I teach the kids classes from 3 to 5. So it's from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. I teach kids classes. And then at 5 p.m. starts the Nogi program, which is what I recently started teaching these past few months. And it's been growing a lot. I think it's really cool that I actually get to lead an adult program at Art of Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, 2 years ago, I was 14 or 15 and had just got to AOJ. So like now I'm actually like running a program. And it's really cool to see my work paying off. So I teach that class, and after that I head home, finish with some dinner. If I need to wrap up some more school, I'll do some more schoolwork, and then I head to bed and then do the same thing the next day. So
wow. That's wild, man. That's crazy. Because I train jiu-jitsu myself, right? And I train in the mornings with the pro team. We train for 2 hours, and then sometimes I might train at night if I've got MMA. But that's so much training. That's wild. Wow.
Yeah,
Especially at the age you're at as well. Like, crazy.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider it your job, like when you consider it, like there's a difference between like people that compete because they like to compete. Like I love to compete, but I know that competing and like showcasing my work within the academy and like teaching, everything builds up. It's like a compound effect. So when you know it's your job, like you kind of just run on autopilot, like, and you just improve along the way. Like your mind just tells you, okay, like you get up at this time, you do the work. Once the work is finished, you repeat again. You're like, it's like you're a machine. Like you just like never stop working. And whenever you look at it like that, like you look back 1 month ago or even like last week, like there's so much improvement that's been made. And it's not only with your jiu-jitsu, it's if you want to work with jiu-jitsu, you have to know how to teach. You have to know how to talk. You have to know how to speak. Like that stuff all pays off. And I think with the way that I'm training, with the way that that I'm working in the gym and trying to build my name and my future, that'll only set me up for success. And I think that's the way it needs to be looked at, is like, if this is what you want to do, you need to treat it like a job. Like if this is what you want to do, you're whatever you do now is gonna put you closer towards your goals. So anything else that doesn't put you closer towards your goals, just scratch it away and like you forget about it. So like that's kind of where people get caught up, is like they want to go out and have fun, they want to do this and that, which is okay. Like if that's what you want to do, then do it. But like that's not going to work if you want to be like a full-time jiu-jitsu athlete and like compete and make money and like teach jiu-jitsu. Like that's how it needs to be looked at. And that's how I've been working for the past few years.
Wow, no, it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing to hear that, and the work ethic definitely shows, right? So let's touch on this, because this is something huge. I think is the Who's Number One championships. When you beat Gio Martinez, he's one of my favorite grapplers to watch as well. I've actually done a podcast with him too. What was going through your mind when you were sitting there, at the press conference? Gio's there, Mikey Musumeci, they're all there, just sitting next to you. Like, what was going through your mind then?
I knew it was a big stage for me to be competing on. That was the first time I got to compete with experienced high-level black belts, and to be on that stage with so many great grapplers was already a great opportunity for me. And I knew in my head that like I was prepared for it. I had done the work, and everything that I'd been doing since I was a kid was gonna pay off in this moment, because it was like kind of like that moment where you get to showcase your jiu-jitsu at the highest level for the first time. And I knew that I was ready, just because I'm surrounded by such good examples, and I train with some of the best guys in the world that are already competing at that level. So for a lot of people, like people looked at it as like, oh, like he's got everything to win. Like it's like there's if he wins, he's like the star. If he loses, he's just a blue belt. But in my head, like when you have high expectations for yourself, like you open up your potential so much more. And for people that have that mindset, like, oh, if I win, it's great. If I lose, I'm just a blue belt. Like, then that's the wrong mindset going in there, and you don't belong in that division. And going into it, my goal was to win. Like it wasn't to do good. Like I didn't want to do good. I wanted to win the whole thing. And I think like I could have gone further. I should have gone further, but like that was kind of my mindset going in. It's like I've done the work, and like I belong here. My belt might not be the same as the guys here, but like I put in the work, and like I know I'm prepared because I train with some of the best guys in the world. So it was the first time for me to compete with that level of athletes, but I train with those guys every day. So it was the first time for me to showcase it on the competition stage, but I'm experienced in the way that I train with the best guys in the world. So.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, and I was watching it, and I was just screaming at my laptop. I was like, "Oh, this is insane! Like this guy, he's beating Gio. Like this is insane, wild, but amazing work." Yeah.
Yeah, and those like you heard, like there's like the saying, whenever your idols become your rivals. Like that was kind of like how I was thinking about it. Like I'd been looking up to those guys for so long. I have so much respect for them. and everything they've done for the sport. Like Gio Martinez is such a veteran, and he's done so much. He's already competed in some of the biggest tournaments, and like he's one of the best guys at that weight in the world, just like a lot of the other guys in the division are. So I definitely wasn't underestimating them. Like I knew they were all going to be very tough. There was no easy match in that division. I remember like whenever before the brackets came out, because they announced the brackets like right then, like right after the weigh-ins, day before. So like I knew like whatever, I wasn't really worried about who I was gonna face first match. I knew that any match I was gonna get in the first fight would be tough. Like there was no easy way out. And with that in mind, like you kind of just prepared for everything. So like before that, we were studying all of the opponents. I had a game plan for each fight, and we were prepared for anything that was going to happen. So we were just happy to be there in the moment, but like ready to perform. But yeah, like I said, I have a lot of respect for all those guys, and like there's no way you can underestimate any of them or think that any of them are easier than the others. They're all some of the best guys in the world. So
yeah. No, amazing. And let's talk about ADCC Trials as well, because obviously you've done such an incredible job there, you know, beating some amazing people there as well. You know, Esteban Martinez, he's a fun guy to watch as well, isn't he?
he is. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What was that whole experience like for you? You know, winning ADCC Trials, being the youngest person ever to do that. Like, what was that whole experience like for you?
Yeah, so ADCC has always been in the back of my head since I was coming up and knew I wanted to compete at the highest level. And I knew that the way to get into that, if I'm going to be a colored belt and trying to get into ADCC, you have to win the trials. And like even the organizer Mo, like he even talks about that. Even if you think you're going to get an invite, do the trials, and that kind of gives them more of a reason to invite you. Even if you don't win, but you put on a good performance, like you have more chances to get an invite. And going into it, like my professor, he was like, you might get the invite just because of the who's number one thing, but like we're going into it to win it. And like that was the mindset. I wasn't trying to perform good so they would look at me and say, oh, he's a good candidate to get an invite. No, like the goal was to win, and there was almost 200 people in the bracket. Like I think it was over 150 at least. And it was some of the best guys in the world that were trying to get into ADCC. So, you know, everybody's going to be training really hard. Everybody's prepared for the tournament. So I knew that going in, with there being more than 150 people, there's so many games within 150 people that you have to be ready for whatever is going to come. So during that camp, we were practicing everything. We were working on guard, takedowns, being on top, just everything that we could possibly face, we were getting ready for. And that was really cool, because that was my second time competing at that highest level and getting to face like high level black belts. Like there were some really big names in that division. It was a super tough division. And I got to face some of the best guys in the world, like you said. And again, it was really cool to face that level, but I knew I was ready for that moment. And my game would match up well with a lot of the guys in the division. And we were just confident in the preparation, and it paid off. And now I've got my spot in ADCC. So
the thing is, like, you didn't just win, like it was one of the best ADCC trial performances, in my opinion. You know, I might be biased, but yeah, it was amazing. But I don't know if you know him. My head coach, Ash Williams, he's in the same bracket as you in ADCC.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like there's like loads of us coming over to Las Vegas to watch it. So I'll meet you there, hopefully. But it'd be crazy if you fought him in ADCC. That'd be fireworks, I think. It'd be amazing.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I've known him for a while now. I saw his performance at the trials that he did, and he performed amazing as well. So that's like, he's got really good jiu-jitsu and like is very, very good with what he does. So like that's a great professor for you to have. That's really cool.
For sure. Do you do any, like, you know, you mentioned earlier you do all of this training, you know, you do strength and conditioning, you do all these things. Do you do any mindset work or anything like that? Like, do you read books? Is there anything that you do to increase your mindset?
I do read books, and when I do read books, it's more for mentality and like just financial stuff, like stuff that's gonna pay off, like in my jiu-jitsu and in my future. I like to read books. Like I said, I read a lot of that stuff. I think just with going into training and like having the right approach every day and going into each training with the goal of training, and when you're a competitor, every training is a competition. Like there's no training that I do that like doesn't feel like a competition. And I think whenever you train with the mindset of it being a competition, everybody that's in the room, everybody that's your weight in the room, your goal is to be the best. Like that was always my mindset coming up. It's like, I'm going to work harder than everyone else here. I'm going to train more than everyone else here. And that's how I'm going to be the best. And when you have that mindset, it gets you so much further than everyone else. Like when you think that, yes, they're your friends off the mat, they're your teammates, but like you trying to be the best in the room is what's going to give you the better chances whenever you actually go to competition. So like my best friends are on the mat. Like there's no question about that. And it's the people that I hang out with. But like on the mat, like we're all trying to beat each other. We're always trying to win the training. Like that's the goal every day. Our professor always tells us during the competition training, like the goal is to win the rounds. The goal is to win. The goal is to be the best in training. And I think he kind of changed that. So Professor Guy, I remember when I first got there, when I first got to Art of Jiu-Jitsu, I was a green belt, and I trained in the first class. And of course, like when you're visiting and going to a gym for the first time, and like you also compete, everybody's going after you. Like that's like normal. Like they put you through the shark tank. One after one, they're jumping after you. You've got guys that are like sitting out waiting for you the next round. Oh, let's go next. And I knew that going in. Like that's normal for any gym. So like that's completely normal. So like I was going every single round and going with the best guys. And I remember after training, Professor Guy pulled me to the side and he was like, "Hey, like you have really great jiu-jitsu. I knew you had really great jiu-jitsu. The techniques and everything were really good. The thing that most impressed me is that you went every single round, didn't sit out a round, and didn't ask to get water." Like there was a time where he asked me if I wanted to get water after like a really hard round, and I was like, "No, I'm fine." And then I went another round. So like at that gym, you can at the gym we train at, you can sit out rounds, like as many rounds as you want. So like I said before, it's kind of how much you want to put in is what you're going to get out. And it kind of they kind of utilize that same mindset at the academy. So however much you work is however much you're going to get out, and that's however much people are going to pay attention to your work. If you're putting in the work, people are going to put the same amount of support and help to you. So if I show that I want it more than everyone else, I'm probably going to get more attention than everyone else. And like that's how it works in like anything in life. When you show that you want it most, when you show that you're willing to dedicate everything into that one thing, people are going to want to help you. People are going to want to work with you. They're going to want to learn from you. And that's been the mindset ever since. But Professor Guy, I remember him telling me, he's like, that was the most impressive thing aside from your jiu-jitsu. And your goal whenever you come here, like you need to maintain that, not for 2 weeks, not for a month, but that just needs to be how you train, like however long you train here. Like you're gonna keep that same mindset till you're a black belt world champion, and like you're winning every year. And he told me, he said, your goal like is to be the best in the training room, not be the best juvenile, not be the best blue belt. Your goal is to be the best at your weight. And I knew that when I was 14 years old. So like that kind of changed. And like to have Professor Guy telling me that, this is my first time training at AOJ, and I'd already known who the Mendes brothers were. I'd already known Tynan. I already known Jonathan. Like I had been watching them for a long time. So like I had already been seeing them at the biggest tournaments and like dominating everyone in their division. And so like for him to tell me that, he was like, wow, like Professor Guy is telling me like I can be the best at my weight in the entire world. And I was like, I never thought about it like that. The goal for me was like, oh, if I'm winning my division, that means I'm doing good. Like I was already doing good. Like I was already winning tournaments, winning big titles when I was a kid. But for him to kind of switch that mindset where it was like, be the best at your weight in the world, was like, wow, like, okay, like that's how it's going to be. And like, that's how I'm going to make it to the top. And that's kind of how I approached training ever since. And I think that was kind of seen in my run at ADCC and the performance I had at Who's Number One. Like it can always be improved. You can always do better. You can always dominate more than you're already doing. But with that mindset, it'll push you closer and closer to those goals and push you closer and closer to the top. And for me, that's my goal. My goal is to be the best American to ever do it. And to do that, that's how I'm going to have to look at it. That's going to have to be the approach until I'm winning the titles that I want, until I'm a professor and have my own gym one day. So that's where I'm at, and that's how I've been training for a while now.
That's incredible. Yeah, like I agree with you. Like, it's hard work and discipline, you know, those two things, and the mindset as well. Of course, the mindset that you've got is incredible. I was going to ask you, like, what are your goals then for the future? And I'm guessing that you just mentioned one is to, you know, have your own gym. Do you have any other goals or anything like that you're looking forward to in the future?
Yeah, so I think like with like a lot of people think like, oh, like once I win a world title, like I'll be set. But like there's so many people in jiu-jitsu that have won world titles, have won multiple times, and like they're still struggling to make a penny. Like it's and that's horrible to see. So you kind of like when you want jiu-jitsu to be what you do and how you make money for your family, like you have to be able to speak English, you have to be able to talk, you have to be able to show technique and be a good instructor. So like all of that kind of pays off. So like my goals right now are, I want to win all those world titles. I want to win worlds at the black belt as many times as I can. I want to dominate in all the IBJJF tournaments at every belt. Like that's the goal. And then also be a complete no-gi grappler as well. Like I want to fight in ADCC. I want to win ADCC many times and be established in both. There's a lot of people that only train one or the other, and you're kind of limited whenever you do that. And of course it might work for some people. Some people might only train jiu-jitsu and they're the best in jiu-jitsu, and like that's going to be how they make a living for themselves. And the same goes for no-gi. But like my goal is like, I see those people and I see them having success, but the goal isn't to have the same success. The goal is to go even further than that. So if I can go even further than those guys that I know are already doing well, that kind of like maximizes your potential and your vision. So the goal, like those are all examples for me, but like I want to do better. I want to do better for myself. And I want to achieve and as much as I can as a competitor, and then also as a professor. So I want to have my own academy one day and have my own established team where I can bring up some of the next talent. So the goal is to have my own academy one day. I want to win all those world titles, and I want to inspire the next generation. Like I said before, it's like you can find your passion young, you can do whatever it is you want, right? And if you find that passion and put everything into it, and think about the mistakes you can make along the way and make the right choices within that field, then you're gonna do well. You're gonna have a bright future. So I think for kids that like see me now, like they kind of see that it's possible. Like if you are 14 years old and only a green belt, in a few years you can be competing with black belts, and then that goes for once I'm a black belt. Once they see me as a black belt, have my own academy, it'll make even more sense. So I want to inspire that next generation to find whatever it is they want to do and put everything they can into it so they can have a successful career. So those are my goals right now.
It's amazing, Cole. Honestly, it's amazing just to hear that. I won't keep you long, Cole. I just want to ask you one more question now before I let you go. Is there anyone that, you know, that you would love to have like a super fight with, or is there anyone that, you know, you want to fight with that you haven't fought already?
I think I get asked this question a lot. It's the goal is always to be like I said, I want to be the best, right? So to be the best, you have to face the best. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. So as many people as I can fight that are at the top, like whoever has the number one spot is who I want to face next. Like, I don't know who that is right now. Whoever is the top guy, like that's who I want to fight next. And that's because it's always changing. So you never know who's the best because it's always changing. There's fights every weekend. So whoever's the top guy is who I want to face next. And like, that's the goal, is like to be the number one and to maintain being the number one. Because there's going to be people that are coming after you, wanting to take your spot as well. Like everybody wants to be the best. So I know that in my head, there's gonna be very tough guys. There's tough guys that I haven't fought yet. There's world champions that I haven't fought yet, and people that have won ADCC. And I think with with these events like ADCC and like IBJJF holding the world championships and stuff, like that only that gives me that chance to fight those higher belts. And like with ADCC and it being no gi and fighting at these super fights and stuff with Flow Grappling and who's number one and in all the events, you're gonna fight the best guys, and the goal is to get to the top. So like whoever's next, like that's who I want to fight. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
No, amazing. No, thank you so much, Cole. Honestly, I'm so excited to watch you compete, fight before ADCC, of course. You know, there's a long time for ADCC. So before that, I can't wait to watch you on Who's Number One, all these big promotions. You know, I wish you all the best as well. Thank you so much for doing this podcast. You're such an inspirational person. You know, I'm so much older than you, and you know, you inspire me. So you're definitely on the right track there for inspiring other people. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a great conversation. It was really cool to finally meet you, and hopefully we can see each other at ADCC whenever you come.
Thank you, Cole. Thank you.